This is Michael Tucker, and you're watching the new Legends on Deck podcast with host Brian Koss and David Conde.
That one drops in front of Bourne. Rivera has his first major league hit. And he's the winner. That's hit hard. Base hit for T.J. Rivera. And the Mets have the first two men on in the second. So T.J., a late addition to the lineup when Neil Walker was scratched, comes through with a base hit his first time up. Taken the other way, and Rivera's got his second hit of the night. So T.J. Rivera, isn't it always the case, right? The guy who's the late addition to the lineup winds up having a big night. Wasn't supposed to play tonight. Put in when Walker had to be scratched, and he's 2 for 2. T.J. Rivera lines one into right center for his third hit of the night. Bourne gets over to cut it off, but he bobbles in, and that enables Rivera to easily get to second base. So T.J. Rivera is 3 for 3. And he pulls one base hit off the glove of Lamb. Fourth hit of the night for T.J. Rivera. Well, he's hit everywhere he's ever been, and he's got a 4-hit game in the major leagues in his 5th big league start. Oh, 2 from Melanson. And he whacks it to deep left field. Back goes Worth, looking up, and it's out of here! T.J. Rivera gives the Mets the lead with his first major league home run. What a spot! T.J. Rivera, his third hit, his third RBI of the night, and he gives the Mets the lead in the top of the 10th, 4-3 New York. 8th pitch of the at-bat coming. And T.J. pulls one toward the left field corner, and Goodwin can't get there. It lands for a hit. Duda will have to stop at third. Rivera pulls in at second with a fly ball double. That's lined the other way, a base hit for Rivera. And now T.J. Rivera has his third hit of the day as he bangs a base hit to center to start the home 6th. And there's his 4th hit of the day. Second career 4-hit game for T.J. Rivera.
2 ball, 1 strike count. Puts it up in the air. That'll get a run in. That's going into the gap. Left center field, almost back to the warning track. Ball starts carrying again. Inciarte will put it away. Sac fly, RBI. Rosario scores. T.J. Rivera makes it a 1-0 Puerto Rico lead. That's going to be the ball game. Way back left field, and goodbye. Home run. And it is 11-0 Puerto Rico. And the ball game is over.
Who hits a 1-0 pitch into right field. Runners at the corners with one away. Oh, yeah. Well, they've got Rosario scouted well. And then they go into first base, and Profar's out. Whacked into the left field corner. T.J. Rivera, touch 'em all. His second of the tournament.
Welcome to episode 17 of the Legends on Deck podcast. I'm Brian Koss with our co-founder David Conde and our special guest T.J. Rivera. Welcome, T.J.
Yep. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So T.J. was signed by the New York Mets in 2011. He worked his way through the Mets system and debuted in the big leagues in 2016. He'd also played for the Puerto Rican national team in the World Baseball Classic. And after 10 years playing professional baseball, in 2022, he is now a coach in the Cleveland Guardians organization. So TJ, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me, man. I know we've been talking about being able to get on here, and I've been holding off and just been really busy with the new gig, and with my 2 kids, got me running around a little bit. But I'm glad we can finally make this work.
Well, I'm going to start with a little bit of a nostalgic history. Back in 2013, I was writing for a site called MetsMiners.net, and I remember it was the summer. The guy, Joel DeCaro, the head of Mets Mirage Online, he said, "Hey, cover the minor leagues because you're gonna love it." I'm like, "Nope, I just want the majors." No, you're in Florida, you gotta do the minor leagues. I said, "All right." So I'm covering the St. Lucie Mets, and I'm trying to figure out who's who on the team. I had no idea who anybody was, and I'm gonna admit a Latin name stood out, Rivera. And I'm looking at the name, I'm like, "Oh, this seems interesting." So I started following you all summer long, kind of figured it out. And then I reached out to the PR guy at the time. His name is, I can't remember his name. Unfortunately, he's going to be upset, but it's all right. And I said, "Hey, can I interview TJ Rivera?" He goes, "Yep, no problem. But I need you to get questions over to me." So I'm like nervous. I had all these questions. I sent them over. And then we had to meet and you guys came over to Fort Myers.
Right.
And we had to meet under the stands to do the interview. And you come out and I literally you couldn't see me. I was shaking. I was doing my first professional interview with anybody. Okay. And you guys came out and I gave the questions and we ran through it. And you were like the most gracious interview. I mean, you were easy, no worries. I mean, it went great. The only thing, I had a friend of mine filming for us because I wanted to film it. He messed up the filming. If I go back now, I can't even, I hear you, but we can't see you. It got all messed up. But the interview was great and everything was great. And what you did for me was it opened the door for like 29, 30 other guys. So I interviewed the whole minor league system and it was great. And then my first spring training was 2014. And when I showed up, what the kicker was, what Joe DeCaro told me was, "Hey, once you are loyal to these guys, they're going to be loyal to you. They're going to really appreciate you." I walked up to you, turned around and said, "Hey, what's up, David?" And I was like, "Oh, you remember me? Wow." I didn't think so. So I appreciate you for, you kind of opened that door for me to do what I'm doing right now. So I appreciate for giving me that opportunity at that time.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you guys too following me. And then, David's been a supporter of mine for a long time. So always keeping in touch, asking how the family's doing. So that's special to me, caring more so about myself and my family more than, maybe what I'm doing on the field. So I've always appreciated that about you. So it was probably one of my first, I can't remember exactly if it was my first one, but probably one of my first interviews as well, being how my career kind of started. I wasn't a prospect by any means. So not many people were asking to interview me. So it was probably one of my first as well. I'm sure I was just as nervous to answer your questions. So we were probably on the same page. Don't worry.
You did good until Kevin Plawecki came out and then he started messing with you. And then I think that kind of eased everybody off. He walked by and started like making jokes and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So we don't normally kind of go backwards and we normally start trying to do your background, but we're going to go to where you're at right now. Mm-hmm. So you debuted this year as a coach with the Cleveland organization. We know that they clinched today. It's pretty much what's coming out. When this is seen, they're going to know by Sunday they clinched. What's your current role in the system? And tell us about your first season coaching on the coaching side. How's that been?
It's been great. I was curious how the transition. Oh, sorry, that's my dog. So I was curious about the transition. Let me go ahead and get her before we keep going with this.
Oh yeah.
Sorry about that.
No,
she might be on the show.
Wants to be in the photo too. There you go.
Yeah, there we go.
So I was kind of curious how the transition was going to go. I'm fresh out of playing. I played winter ball. Last year I was with the Phillies and Pirates organization in AAA. I felt like I was going to keep going, man. I truthfully did. I was playing in Puerto Rico. Then I went to the Caribbean Series in the Dominican Republic. So my last game was probably, first week of February. So I was curious how the transition was going to be being so fresh from coming out of playing. But it's been great. I got a role here as a minor league bench coach. And I really stayed down here at the complex in Arizona, working with rehab developmental team, guys that are working on things, guys that are, pretty much developing their skills, and also guys that are coming back from rehab, and then also helping out with the ACL group, the complex league team that we had here with the Guardians. So I've been bouncing around, adjusting and just learning how things go on this side of things. And I've enjoyed it. I've had a blast so far. The organization has been great. And it kind of was random how I ended up here, but it's been a blessing so far. And the transition has been a lot easier than I expected. I still do miss playing. I miss being on the field. I miss the competition more than anything. But the guys, the staff here, the players, everybody's been great. So it's made it a lot easier.
What led you to Cleveland? Was it your agent? Was it something that just kind of said, "Hey, I'm going to go this route," because you weren't really getting any other opportunities?
It's wild. I was actually telling somebody the story the other day. I'm living in Alabama now. I'm going to the gym every day. I'm staying in shape. Like, this is February, March timing. I can't remember the exact dates, but I'm, season was probably just getting underway, the regular season, even the minor league season. And I was still without a job, talking to some teams through my agent, but nothing really concrete. Everything was just talks and interest, and there was just nothing coming up out of it. So, I'm still training. I'm hitting pretty much every other day or so in the cages, trying to just stay ready and see what, in case an opportunity came up. So I go to the gym and I see the catching coordinator, Luke, here with the Guardians. And we've met in the past. We talk a little bit. And we just kind of, just seeing how each other were doing. And I explained to him my situation and what I was going through, and, threw a little feeler out there, see if they needed any kind of depth in AAA or something like that. There's no hits on that. But I did explain to him, hey, look, I want to stay in the game at some point. And I really said that because that's what I believed. It wasn't really trying to see if he had anything available. That wasn't what I was trying to do. I was truly just discussing how much I enjoy the game and what I want to do when I'm done playing. And I wanted to stay in the game. And it just so happened to be that, the Guardians were looking for somebody similar to what I do, and coming out of baseball and having that experience. And so it just so happened to be, I guess, about a week and a half after me and him had talked, I told him I'd keep him in mind when I stopped. I thought maybe it was time to go that route. And, week and a half, 2 weeks later, I figured, what, there's nothing really happening on the playing side. So let me see what's going on with Cleveland. And next thing you know, I had an interview, and then they flew me out here, and that was it. Now I'm here. Now I'm on the other side of things. It happened quick. I knew I wanted to stay in baseball as, staff, coach, whatever it may be, player development, hopefully work my way up. And but it happened a lot quicker than I expected. But I am grateful for it, to be with such a great organization.
Do you feel like, I'm going to ask you as a friend to ask you this question. Do you feel like if the opportunity was there again, that you would want to play? Do you feel like you can do that, or you just kind of really geared your mind to just doing the coaching thing now?
I truthfully feel like I can still play, but I didn't want to go through the process of where I was at. I mean, the ups and downs with a family. I could have done it without a family. I would have kept grinding it out and just enjoy the the playing side of things. And I still thought I truly believed I could still play in the big leagues, but I did commit to something. And I did mention to them that when I said I'm going to, take the job, that was it for me on the playing side of things, as much as I believe in myself. And, at some point you got to turn the page. And once I committed to this job, I knew that's where I was heading. And, that's it for me. Maybe some pickup softball or something. Or I'll find another hobby here, but
there you go.
Yeah.
But look, we got the World Baseball Classic coming up. They can lend you to Puerto Rico for a little bit.
Right. Yeah. I'm sure they could lend me, but I don't know if Team Puerto Rico is ready to take a guy on that hadn't played in 6 months, when there's some really good young Puerto Rican players right now in the major leagues. I mean, we have some really good young talent. On top of some veteran presence. So maybe I can be the bat boy or something. We'll see if they reach out, but I don't think they're going to be putting me on the field. It's funny. Ashton, my wife, was actually mentioning, hey, why don't you reach out, see if there's some coaching opportunities there. I honestly would love to be a part of that group, because the last time I was in 2017, it was unbelievable, the experience we had. But on the playing side of things, I think those days are over. I even looked into possible winter ball, like once I first signed, but I was like, you know what, that's it, man. It's time to it's time to learn how to do things on this side. So,
I'll be honest with you, it's tough for me when you wrote the post on Instagram.
yeah.
My heart sank. I was like, "What? What do you mean?"
Yeah.
But I'm
I
glad.
honestly thought it was going to be a couple more years before I wrote that post, but the game's changing. It's getting younger, and by no means am I old. I'm 33. I still felt like I had a lot left in me, but at that age, the truth is you probably should be in it already, and it's hard to get back in at I think where I was at, and maybe I just stunk, but I still thought I had something left in me. But it is what it is, man. I do miss the competition. I miss those parts of the game and being on the field and grinding through it. But I think as a coach, I can still get a little bit of that feel.
That's kind of. I'm sorry, get it.
Yeah, you can go.
So we took over each other. That kind of pushes into my other question a little bit that I wanted to ask you. So we know you made the show back on August 10th, 2016, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was your major league debut.
Right.
Which is a lifelong dream for any kid growing up. I mean, you got to live it. It's great. You got to play. I mean, I think you were in for that first year, right, with the Mets in 2016. But then 2017 came around. You did the World Baseball Classic, as you mentioned. Right. But then you started to have problems. When did you start to have problems with your arm? I mean, normally that's the surgery you have with Tommy John surgery. And normally that's a pitcher. I mean, what was going on that you feel that kind of led you there to that point?
Right. Yeah, I still don't know exactly what it could have been to lead me there. I've played a lot of baseball. I've thrown a lot of baseballs in my life. I don't know. At one point, I don't remember there being a time where I said, man, I think I tore my UCL. Like, I don't remember one period of time where I just overused it. It was just over a long period of time where my arm just kind of gave out on me. It was early in 2017. We did the World Baseball Classic. I started throwing a little earlier than usual at a high rate. We got into games pretty quick early in 17. Maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe I didn't prepare my arm correctly, that offseason. I really don't know. And then I know coming into the season with the Mets, I started getting some playing time. And for a couple months, I was getting a good amount of playing time, but my arm was just killing me. And I didn't say anything for a long time because, you're a young guy that just is getting an opportunity to play in the major leagues. And by no means was I some high touted prospect where, I had a lot of leeway. I knew that I had to perform and I had to perform quick and I had to keep showing that I can play. And so I was a little scared to really say anything about my arm. But I played through it for a couple months and eventually I started feeling it on swings on the tee. And, when the throwing thing I could get away with whatever, I could make it work. I was just throwing through pain, a couple throws a game, blah, blah, blah. I was losing some accuracy, but the swing started being affected. And I thought, I had some veteran presence on that team, kind of see it and mention, hey, maybe it's time to say something. So I did. And, it led to what it led to. I had to go. We tried some shots, PRP, things of that nature that maybe might help, but it ended up being surgery and, grind ever since. But, it gave me some perspective and a different outlook on the guys that go through injuries and that, that potentially end their careers. So, have a different outlook on those things. And, now I'm just blessed to stay in the game, but, it did, I think, put a halt on what I thought would have been hopefully a longer career.
Do you feel like if you didn't have that surgery, things probably would have been different with the Mets, with any opportunities out there?
Yeah, I'd imagine so. I would think so. I mean, I believe in myself. I'm pretty confident on the field when I play, even though, don't get me wrong, I have my insecurities and things like that, just like we all do. And I had some fears and things that I have to face, as I'm sure everybody does. But I truly believe that I would have played for a good bit of time being healthy. But that's part of it. Things come up and you just got to learn to live with them and find a way otherwise. And after the injury, I kind of kept having issues and but I kept grinding through it. I didn't want the injury to be the last part of me. And then, COVID came up and I didn't want that to be the last part of my career. So I kept fighting a little longer.
Yeah. So I do want to ask one question. You had your first hit on August. Was it August? When you debuted it, you got the first hit. I don't remember everything, so bear with me. I know I was your biggest fan, but I don't remember everything. I'm old now.
You're good. I barely remember it myself. Don't worry.
So what did it feel like to say, I'm here? I got the hit. I can do it at this level. What did that feel like? Was it a great feeling? Would you just say, I mean, what were you feeling at that moment?
A lot of emotions. Just being on the field that day, where there was a lot of emotions. I remember, being on the line for the national anthem and getting pretty emotional just because of all the efforts and work that I put in to get me where I was at that day, that moment, and all the people that sacrificed everything for me. I think all those things were kind of running through my mind. So it wasn't just of like, wow, I did it. It was more so like, hey, we did it because, my parents were there. Not everybody gets to have their parents there watching them play in their hometown with a lot of friends and family, people that I didn't even know were coming to the game, all in support of me because they've always, been with me throughout my career. So that was really special. It was really not about like I did it, I put the work in. It was more so like, look what we did and look at all the efforts everybody did. A lot of people had a lot of impact on my career, giving me opportunities and supporting me along the way. So, it was almost like a thank you for them for that support. And then we got to all enjoy it. But yeah, my first hit was that day, my fourth at bat in extra innings. Yeah,
you had to be dramatic about it, right? You had to wait till the
I had to be a little dramatic. Well, I couldn't get it. My first at bat, I thought I almost had when I hit a ground ball off Robbie Ray's leg and went right to the third baseman. And I was just like, oh man, this is not fun.
Well, I promise you I was watching. I just don't remember, but I was watching.
Yeah. It was 10th inning. Both my first hit and home run were in the 10th inning. And then just give me a second. I'm sorry, guys.
We promise he's not running away.
She'll keep larking. She'll keep
That's
going
right.
if we don't stop her. But yeah,
it's all right. I have a dog here too. I put something in him so he doesn't bark. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, a little puppy. But yeah, so both hit and home run, first homers were both in the 10th inning. I guess a little bit of dramatics there, but yeah, man, a special day. I'll never forget it. A lot of people in the stands able to support me and be there with me for it. So yeah, one of the best feelings I've had. It was, I'll never forget it. Yeah.
And there's nothing like it coming up. I mean, with your hometown team. I know your hometown team was across the bay, but growing up in the Bronx, we gotta admit it. You've admitted to me. It's okay. I was probably the only Met fan in my neighborhood in Brooklyn, but that's fine.
Right.
But either way, I mean, you're right there, hop, skip, and a jump from your neighborhood. So I'm sure that's not everyone gets to experience that.
Yeah, for sure. Where I was home, I grew up a Yankee fan, but the Mets were, always part of me as well. I went to more Met games growing up than I did Yankee games. My mom would get tickets. My dad was a Met fan. A lot of my friends were Met fans. The rest of the crew were all Yankee, but we were split up. But it was tough not to be a Yankee fan those days. I mean, you had Derek Jeter was the guy I looked up to, and he was winning World Series left and right. So, it's kind of tough not to be, but
well, you were born 2 years after the Mets won the World Series, and not like you knew anything about the Mets anyway. So
exactly. Yeah, I missed that part. Maybe if I was born a couple years earlier, it would have been a different story.
It's funny. Well, I wanted to go back a little bit to the coaching side of things. So you mentioned, like at your age, you were saying that, as a player, it might be hard to get back into the game. But as a coach, you're on the younger side. You're young for a coach in baseball right now. So there's players that are in the league that are your age or some older. So I'm kind of curious about how you apply your knowledge on the coaching side, how you feel that it's resonating with players, and just that transition and things that have been eye-opening experience for you this season.
Yeah. Yeah, age could be interesting as a coach, because you could be at a point where, you're coaching in the big leagues at 30 or 32 or whatever it may be, and there's guys older than you with more experience, and you're coaching them up. But I think once they see, who you are as a person, they see your passion, they see what you believe in, and maybe know your story a little bit, I think you can earn some trust. And I don't expect everybody to buy into what I believe and be the player person I am, but I think if I'm just myself around those kind of individuals, I think I can buy their trust. And I think people understand who I am and the passion I have for this game and what I believe in. And I think it could help players. And I hope it does at some point. I've got to work with a lot of younger players down here, mostly a lot of international guys. And it's been interesting. And I don't really want to say, hey, I played in the big leagues, listen to me. I don't ever want to have that, because that's just not what I believe in. I don't think just because you were a big leaguer, you know how to coach. So me personally, I'm trying to find ways to relate to players and player to player. Not everybody's going to be the same. So I've been learning that. I've been experiencing that firsthand. And how can I help these guys develop, help them on and off the field? They're away from home. They're just all those things I think matter. And just to be there for them to the best of my abilities. And then, learn as well. Every day I'm learning. I'm still learning. I'm still fairly young, I guess, as a coach. So I'm just trying to, the group here has such a different understanding of how to like coach and teach. And they give a lot of resources to the staff here with Cleveland. So it's really interesting. And I'm trying to take advantage of all those resources and trying to learn to the best of my abilities. And so that the players are affected. And I'm teaching them the things that need to be taught and helping them in ways that I can help them. So just taking advantage of all the things we have here at the complex is my goal right now. And I hopefully the more I learn, the better I can teach and coach.
Sure, guys. Yeah. No, I actually want to jump on something that you're saying in his question. Do the young kids know who you are? I mean, that you played in the game? Have they heard of you? Have they heard your experience in the game?
So I have not everybody right away. I never say like what I've done. I've just kind of introduced myself and go on. And the reason I don't ever want people to like listen to me because I played. I don't want people to listen to me because I was fortunate enough to have a very short period of time in the major leagues. Like I want them to understand me as a person and understand what I believe in my thoughts and hopefully listen to me because of that or understand where I'm coming from. So they don't really, I don't think, understand that I've played in the past when I first meet them, but it kind of gets out there. Like we have some guys with a lot of major league experience on this staff. So, if they don't know who they are, they're definitely not going to know who I am.
They find your baseball reference page.
Yeah, that's
okay,
honestly
I
probably how they find out I've done anything.
Right?
It's just a straight Google search because they're like, all right, who's this guy telling me? Ball?
What does he
make
know?
sure he knows.
Right. The other thing I thought about as we were talking was, as a player, your main focus is developing yourself, right? Like how do you make the improvements you need to make? Not to say that you're not concerned with the team and their teammates, because it's a team sport after all. Right. But it's on you, right? It's on you to make the improvements. You're on the reverse side of that as a coach. You're the one looking at a whole bunch of guys and figuring out how are you going to improve them and what are you going to contribute to them. So how does that play into it? It's a different thought process, I'd imagine.
For sure. It's a difficult one that I'm still learning, that it's a challenge because, I knew at the end of the day as a player, I'd put the work in, and if I failed, I was okay with that. All I can do as a coach is give them all the resources that I have and all the things that we have as an organization, put it there for them, explain it to them the best I can, and then tell them the reasoning behind it. Tell them, maybe try to motivate them in ways. But at the end of the day, it's their career and they have a choice to make. Are they going to commit? Are they going to, put everything they have into it as well? So that is definitely a challenge for me because I know I was okay with failure as a player because I knew I put the work in. Like I felt okay with it. It brought confidence knowing that I put the work in, but it also was, if I didn't get the job done, I knew that it wasn't because I didn't put the work in. And, as a staff member, you can only do so much, right? After that, it's on them to commit. It's on them to go and do the things they need to do on the field. So yeah, it's going to be a challenge going forward. It is right now in some ways. But I won't give up on a guy just because they're not showing right now. Every person here has a uniform on their back, and every time they have that on their back, I'm going to continue to remind them that they can be somebody. They can be the best. They can be the best version of themselves. It might not be a major leaguer, and that's okay. It doesn't matter, as long as you're putting all the work in and you're doing everything you can do. And you get stuck walking away from this game, not playing in the major leagues. That's okay, because I'm sure whatever it is you do after that, and you take that same mentality, you'll have success. And success is different for everybody. You know, for me, like people always talk about greatness and things of that nature. Like for me, if you do everything that you can do to be the best version of yourself, then that's great to me. And it might look different for everybody else. It might be Mike Trout in the big leagues, or it might be, you know, the best player development staff member in an organization. Like it all may be a different greatness, but if you're doing everything you can do, that's a reminder. I'll keep reminding players is you can only control so much, but you can control what you do, and we'll see where that takes you. But the challenge is going to be there for me because I know I wanted to always work either extra or do a little more than the next person, and I can't expect that from every player that I work with. So yeah, definitely a challenge. A great question too, because I am just out of the game, so I'm learning to adapt, and I feel comfortable if I provide them with everything that I know and everything I have.
Sure.
And hopefully that's enough.
A lot of the players that you're seeing, because I sometimes volunteer with the Red Sox. I do the English teacher will bring me on sometimes, and because of what I do with the site, I'll have help them out their English. So a lot of these guys have been signed at 16 years old. I mean, here, to the pros, and I mean, here in the States, I mean, you're signed at 18, 19 out of college. So these kids coming in, how are they coming in? They're asking the mindset of adapting to here. I mean, do Cleveland have something to help them with the language? Are they able to adapt well?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit difficult for anybody that comes over from anywhere. So if like a 17-year-old kid from America went to the Dominican Republic for a 6-month season, it's going to be difficult for them. And just as it is for any guy from the international side of things coming over to the States, it's going to be a difficult transition. But if you embrace it and understand why you're here and remember why you're here, and as a staff, I think we do a really good job. Like we have some really good life skills people here that are like, we have apartments for the guys right across the street from the facility.
Good.
Make sure they're fed and everything is good with. They make sure they have beverages. They make sure they make trips to Walmart. Like as they don't just leave them there, so we're constantly checking in on these guys, making sure that there's room checks, there's everything you can imagine. Like we're on top of them and helping them out because they're 17, some of them are 16. They don't have their parents, they don't have guidance, so that's our duty to make sure that they're okay. And I think this organization does a great job. I'm sure other organizations do the same thing. Because they're humans first. Like it doesn't matter about the baseball thing. We have to make sure they're okay off the field. So they're doing English classes as well, life skill classes. They're teaching them all the new data literacy things. They're just nonstop. There's a lot of education going on here with the Guardians, and I'm really happy to be a part of it. I would have never known if this opportunity never came up. I didn't know how other organizations work. I don't know how the organizations still work, but I do know that we have something special here, and they're doing a really good job with these young kids. And honestly, a lot of credit needs to go to the staff over in the Dominican Republic, where our complex is. Like these guys come over with great attitudes. Like there's not many kids that you can pick out that are like, we're going to be a little iffy on his attitude. No, their makeup is great. They have a lot of respect. They're 17, saying, hey, how are you? Good morning, even though it's not their primary language. They're finding ways to interact. And they've been great. This Instructs has been an eye-opener, even the ACL season, but this Instructs, these kids are 17 coming over, and they're all super respectful, good workers. They listen. It's, there's not much babysitting going around. So they're doing a good job priming them in the Dominican.
And the talent level you're seeing coming from over there, it's top notch.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely better than I was at 17. I can tell you that. That is an easy comparison. Really good. Young. We have some good scouting too, and there's a lot of potential. But I'm learning I'm still trying to figure out how to assess players myself. I was always, it wasn't that I ever didn't watch the players around me as a player. I was just, I couldn't control what other guys were doing. So my focus was just be the best teammate, best player I can be, and be like friendly, become friends with my teammates. But it wasn't like ever I was assessing them. I wasn't ever like, that might be a major leaguer or that might not be. It was like, all right, I'm going to do everything in my power to help this team win. And that's what we're going to go with. And I'm hoping everybody else is doing the same. But I was never like, you could see who's good and who's not. But like, I never really broke it down. And now I'm trying to learn how to do that and pick, this guy might be a major leaguer. But then again, I don't want to choose and favor anybody because, they could be just like me, a nobody, and have an opportunity. And that's all it takes, really.
That's interesting you say like that because I remember when I watched you when you were St. Lucie with Nemo, Marin, Dilson. I mean, every game it was a hit. I mean, you guys are hitting the ball all over the place, and it's amazing. It's awesome you say it the way you thought about it. Like, you're not focused on anybody else. You kind of focus on you when you don't really notice it. So the fans do. We notice it all, And
yeah. You guys got it all in there. You're watching the whole game. You're watching player to player, and we're all just trying not to screw it up on our own. That's all we're doing. We're trying to be the best version of ourselves. We're just not, mess it up for the team.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the perspective is different now that I'm on this side. So I'm learning, and I hope to continue learning. This org is giving me an opportunity. So yeah, looking forward to it.
I think you bring a lot of knowledge to them either way. Even though you didn't play your whole career in the majors, I just think your work ethic. I've seen the off-season work ethic. Everything you do, it just it shows everyone else that the respect you have for the game and how you carry yourself and your family man and stuff, and that's all important. And if anything else, even if you don't bring up that you were a major leaguer, you don't want to share that. It's just in your demeanor, they're gonna be able to kind of like want to mimic you, want to be where you're at because of they may go further than you may not, but I just think everything you've accomplished to this point, you've impressed everybody, all your fans and everything, and whatever time you stayed in the majors or you didn't stay, either way, it was a big accomplishment for everything you worked hard to do. All the years you worked hard, and being, like you said, you weren't a top prospect, but you made your name for yourself. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows who TJ Rivera is, even if you're not playing the game anymore. Everybody knows, and I make sure to let them know too.
If they don't know, yeah, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, that means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, Brian,
yeah. So, I'm going to turn the clock back a little bit more on you. Mm-hmm. So I looked into some of your early days, what I could find, and you're a New York City kid.
Yeah.
Grew up in you said in the Bronx, right?
Correct.
And then somehow you found your way into playing baseball at Troy University in Alabama. Mm-hmm. That Troy University, people know it's in the southern part of Alabama, so totally different environment, right? Even the Bronx to go to Troy. And then, you went to the Mets organization, you played in Kingsport, Tennessee, Port St. Lucie, where David met you, Savannah, Georgia, some of these different places. Tell us about a lot, and I think every ball player kind of goes through this, right? So they're bounced around. They may have grown up somewhere, but they're bounced around to different environments. What kind of adjustments do you, as a ball player, as a young person, have to make in that environment? And what kind of culture shock happens, and how do you adjust yourself mentally to those types of transitions?
Yeah, I think I don't know if there's one way to do it. I know I was thrown right into it. Coming out of high school, I was going to so it started off the way I got to Alabama. I went to a junior college in Alabama. I went to Wallace, and then I transferred over to Troy after 2 years. And it was just a sacrifice that we had to make. We knew we wanted to play baseball and go to college and do those kind of things, and that was what a lot of guys from up north were doing at the time. We were like, oh, if you're going to go to junior college, you might have a chance of getting drafted, things of that nature. And we all loved baseball, and that was our passion, and so we sacrificed at the time. Was it easy? No. It was confusing. There was a lot of emotion involved, I'm sure, at times, and it was like, what am I doing? Am I doing the right thing? That question comes up a lot, and
sure.
We just had to stick with it, and gratefully we stuck with it, because we didn't give up. We continue to be uncomfortable in environments that we're not used to, and you got to do what you got to do at times, and that's what we did. We sacrificed and made the most of the situation. We were in a completely out of our element being in Alabama. Super welcoming people. It became pretty easy after a while, but at first the adjustment definitely took some time. And just like you said, it's, it doesn't stop there. I went to Troy, got signed out of there. The Mets signed me out of there my senior year. I was a free agent and just started bouncing around instantly. I went to Port St. Lucie for 2 days and then boom, right on to Kingsport, Tennessee. And then Tennessee played well and got an opportunity to go to Brooklyn, New York, back home. And, the next year I'm in St. Lucie, or no, the next year I'm in Savannah, Georgia for half a year. Then I'm in St. Lucie,
Right.
Florida. And then a year and a half after that, I'm in Binghamton, New York, and then Vegas. I mean, so it's nonstop. And then
a little bit everything.
every place that I just mentioned, I'm also visiting other places because we're on the road.
Oh, right.
So we're not just staying at that location. We're spending a week somewhere else. And you just have to adjust, man. You have to find ways to get the job done. And at the end of the day, we all were pursuing something. It wasn't just to do it. It was like, hey, this is the sacrifice you need to make if you want to, fulfill your dreams. And I think that's what kept me. That's what made it a little easier. Was like, hey, I'm not just doing this to do this. I truly believe I can play in the major leagues. I truly believe I can be an all-star in the major leagues. These are thoughts that I'm having, and I had to just sacrifice and be a little uncomfortable at times. And I think that's something that we tend to run from as people sometimes, and I still do it these days, but I try to I force myself into doing things that I know, they're not going to make me feel comfortable, but it might get me where I want to be. So that's the mindset that helped me get through it. Other people might take it a different way, but it's also a blessing. We got to experience a lot of places in my career that I don't think I ever would have been at. I mean, I don't know if I've ever been to Savannah, Georgia. We ended up loving it there.
Sure.
I probably never would have. Maybe I would have experienced Vegas, but I never had in the past, but I didn't expect to at any time. And boom, I'm in Vegas.
Right.
My wife got to experience that, and then I did the Classic, and I was in LA for a time in San Diego, and these are all places I've never been to. So there's some difficult in it, because you're bouncing around. You can't ever really get stable in ways, but there's a lot of blessings too. You get to experience places that that are unique and you never may experience if you didn't play the game. So the main key takeaway for me was, if I was telling a younger player that I know they're struggling with, that is just remember why you're doing it, and remember the sacrifices that you've made personally, and what sacrifices the people that have got you there made, like your family, for instance. For me, it was my parents. And my wife making all the sacrifices, me being away, and they did a lot for me to be there, so I just couldn't give up and make any excuses.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Yeah, it kind of was I was thinking about that right away. It's like when you were talking, I'm like, okay, so it's kind of a blend of like, put your blinders on, like focus on baseball. You're here. Doesn't matter where you're playing, as long as you're doing your thing. And then kind of a mix of that, and make sure you take in the experience too.
For sure. There's some benefit. There's a positive side of it too, man. It's like, yeah, I'm all right. Maybe I'm bouncing around all the time, but let's see what the city has to offer. Let's see, that it's a uniqueness to it. Is there anything cool we could do in the morning before the game?
Right.
It's more so when you get up top, you get to do those kind of things, but the others, because the cities are a little bigger and there's more, but we made the best of it for sure. And I don't think I would ever change that. I enjoyed bouncing around a little bit, even though bus rides might be a little long sometimes.
Is there any minor league stadium that when you walked into, you were like, wow, like this stadium is amazing, like this is awesome?
So one of my favorite was Savannah. These are both home places, both places I mentioned. Savannah was awesome. Old, a lot of history. Most people were like, oh, Savannah's, that's because our clubhouse was probably the same size as this hotel room.
Right.
I mean, we were in there, man, but it was one of my favorite playing surfaces, and the atmosphere was really cool too, because there was so much history there. That stadium had been around for I don't know how many years. And then the next place, I've already had been there before, Savannah, but it was the first time I was like, oh, this is pro ball, was Brooklyn. My first taste of pro ball was Kingsport, Tennessee. Not many fans. It was kind of, the atmosphere was, just some baseball really. And I got to Brooklyn, and it was like, oh wow, there's a couple thousand fans, and you play the Staten Island Yankees, and that was the first time in pro ball I was like, oh man, it's really fun playing in front of a big crowd and having good atmosphere.
And you're on the beach.
Yeah, and
Brooklyn,
then he
you're
was
right on the
home.
beach.
And I was home
Did
too, so
you
I was like, this is all kind of really cool.
did you ever play in Greenville?
Yes, that's the Red Sox, correct? Yeah.
I-
No, I think I was just mentioning about Greenville, and
Yeah.
it was one of the only experiences where, and this was all probably fluke. It was the first time I tried to hit a home run, and I actually hit a home run, and I was
nice.
that never happened again. I wish it never did because I kept trying to do it. It was the green monster. They had a big monster in left field, big long left. I think it was like 2-0 or something. I was like, I'm swinging for the fences, and I hit a wall scraper, and I was like, I thought I could do it every time since, and it probably threw me into a slump or something. But yeah, the experiences were cool. Bouncing around has always been fun. Stressful at times, bus rides and things of that nature, but just making the most out of it. And when you have good teammates and good friends on your team, it makes it a little easier too.
Well, let's add to that question. What was your favorite major league ballpark to play in? Outside of your home games.
Right. Yeah. The any away game I went to, I missed Yankee Stadium, unfortunately. I missed Fenway.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
Wrigley. So those are all probably got places that would have been up there.
Mhm.
But San Francisco, I really enjoyed playing there. Their fans, a lot of fans, good atmosphere, weather was great. Really pretty park too, right on the bay. I mean, it's beautiful there. I was a big fan of Pittsburgh too.
Yeah, it's a great
Beautiful
ballpark.
stadium.
Yeah. So those two were probably my favorite. San Fran, I would say, is probably number one stadium wise.
Yeah. Well, those hit the top of the list on all the stadium marks. So you're right in there with all the stadium gurus.
Yeah, those are definitely up there for sure.
Well, let me ask you a question when it comes to you with the minor leaguers, you're kind of sharing with them your experience and everything else. So you're on the field and you're gonna go ACL. I'm thinking there's not that many fans at the stadium, probably nothing at all, right? So what will you share with them when now you're in a field with thousands upon thousands of people to stay focused and not let what's going around get to you? Like, how did you manage that? How can you help them manage that?
I think there were certain ways to go about it. I think everybody controls all that differently. I had to tell myself not to play with any emotion, and which is kind of weird because the game is kind of heading in a way where they want you to show a little emotion. It's entertainment. For me, if I got too high or too low, it was just I didn't perform at the level I wanted to perform at. So honestly, if I had a good game or if I had a bad game, my focus was just to kind of keep it even. It helped me throughout a long course of the season. Now, don't get me wrong. When we played the wild card game in New York, I felt the energy instantly. Like you can't control 50,000 fans, after a first strikeout, just erupting. It's going to be there. So understanding, I think my explanation to them would be understand that what you're going through is normal. Like, are you nervous? Great. You should be. You love that. You care. Are you anxious? Awesome. You should be. There's millions watching. That's normal. Guess what? The guy across on the mound is feeling the same thing, most likely. A couple of them have been there a little longer, so maybe they're a little more used to it. Understanding it's normal. It's okay. It's okay to deal with that stuff. You might be a little anxious. You might deal with some anxiety. You might have some fears. You don't want to make a mistake. The reason is because you care. And as long as you embrace that, that's it. And then at the end of the day, what are you doing it for? Are you doing it for these fans, or are you doing it for yourself and your family? So, they're going to judge you no matter what. So move on, do what you can do. And that's it. No matter what you do, somebody will have some sort of something to say, so it is what it is. And so my thing was just remember why you're doing it. And remember, that it's not for the fans at times. It's for you and your families, whatever it may be that you're chasing. And breathe. It's the easiest thing to say. Just breathe, man. Just breathe and understand it's all normal. It's okay to be a little anxious and nervous, and whatever you're feeling. There's the majority of guys are probably feeling it too.
Well, it's funny when after we started Legends on Deck, I started covering the minor leagues more. And I took my camera to the game, so I actually was able to be on the field and take photos. So in between innings, they would say, hey, you can walk from dugout to dugout. And I'm in Fort Myers mostly. From dugout to dugout, no worries. And I always wanted to walk under and around because I was afraid of falling, tripping. You got all these people watching you. I was so nervous. Everybody's like watching me walk across, take a photo, walk back. I was always so nervous. Like, oh my God, I can't. And then we had a game here with Tebow. Tebow actually was with St. Lucie. And there was thousands of people. And I'm on the field and I'm taking photos. He's next to me and I have all these people screaming, David, give me his autograph. And I'm just ignoring it, trying to just stay along. So I really don't know how you guys did that because I think I would have like fainted with all these people just watching you, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of eyes on you, especially if you're a big name like a Tebow or something, you know? And yeah, just being yourself, man. It's hard to put on a fake you know, you can only do it for so long and not go crazy. So we're all a little different in our ways of handling it. But I think if we just embrace it, and don't get me wrong, like there was times that I didn't embrace it a lot of times. Like I was like, I am not, you know, it's the game's getting the best of me. I'm in a slump and the truth is I'm like, I don't want to go hit. Like, you know, those things, those are part of it. And, you know, it's okay to feel like that in the moment. It's you probably don't feel like it's a normal thing and that others are going through it. You think everybody's eyes are on you and you, but that's part of the game, man. You just got to keep on rolling. It'll go away one day and you'll get to look back and say, man, it's kind of funny how I was thinking, but yeah, it's a lot easier to talk about it now than
we're in the moment
to go play tonight.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna, you know, kind of ended on this question. You married your college sweetheart, right? Aston, you guys met in college. Mm-hmm. Okay. Did you met in Troy? Or you met in junior college?
We met at Troy. She was a cheerleader at Troy. I was a baseball player. I was chasing her around for a little longer than I was hoping, but she finally took the bait. It took a while, but she finally gave in.
And then you've been married. How long before you had your first daughter?
We had Ava in 17 and we were married in 15. So a little over a year. Oh, no, 2 years. I'm sorry. A little over 2 years we were to get married before we had Ava, our first daughter.
And then your second one came
after. A little less than 2 years after, in 19, October of 19. So she'll be 3 here soon. And Ava will be 5 soon. So yeah, they're part of why I keep playing and or I keep staying in the game and keep like pushing myself to being better and better is really for them. You know, it started off my why was for my family's sake. You know, my parents sacrificed a lot to give me an opportunity to play. So I kept pushing, you know, a lot for them to give them the appreciation they deserve. But now it's, you know, it's shifted towards my family, Ashton and the girls. So I was really fortunate last year that they got to come out and watch me play in Indianapolis. They were with me the whole season in Indianapolis with the Pirates, and they loved every minute of it. That was part of why I kept going. I want them to see me play. I wanted to see them on the field and take pictures. And so we had a blast. I was able to do that. And then, you know, now as a coach, you know, they keep me hungry and being the best coach I can be. So, you know, they also keep me busy after coaching. So, yeah.
Do they know? Do they understand that? I mean, the oldest one, Ava, probably understands a little bit more what you do. Does she kind of understand that you're into baseball and stuff? And,
yeah, oh yeah, they catch on pretty quick. They're smarter than I thought. I mean, they knew right away that I play baseball. I put my walkout song last year was like a chicken wing song that they love, and they were raising the stand. And now they know I'm a baseball coach. They like I'll say something about playing, and both of them will say, "Dad, you're a coach." Like they know I'm not playing anymore. It's kind of funny. They understand it somehow. I think the first time they came out to watch me here in the Arizona, I was covering for one of the ACL teams, and I was coaching on the bases, I think. And that was the first time they didn't understand like why I wasn't playing. I was coaching, and then once they got the grasp of that, they knew I could come say hi to them in between innings and stuff. They were like, "Oh, this is great." He's a coach. He's not so focused on the game, even though I should be as a coach. You know, but yeah, but they understand it and they love it. So now that they've clinched, I think we're going to go to Cleveland's playoffs, and they'll get to experience that. So
very cool.
I'm sure they're gonna eat it up and love it.
Has the coaching job been easier to be around them more than it would be when you were playing? If you have, like you say, they come to Arizona, you kind of see them more. It's different overall throughout the whole season. Have you felt like it's like you keep in contact with them more than you did when you were playing? Even though I know
Yeah.
you're a great dad and you do all the time, but it's different.
No, yeah, totally. It's when you're playing, it's a lot. You're on the road at times. Like I will too as a staff member or coach, but for this year, it's been really easy. They were with me the whole year, and I was here in Arizona no matter what. So we got to spend pretty much the whole year together. Not sure where next year is going to take me and where um, I'll be at, but I do think from the coaching side, there's a lot of work to be done. I get there early and I stay late, and that's kind of what I did as a player. But I do it. I'm going to continue to do it, and as long as the family allows me to. And but it has been a lot easier to just kind of be around, be more in the moment with them at times as a player. I won't lie. Like the stresses of the season can sometimes come home. You try not to take it, to home, but when you have to perform and your career is on the line. So I wouldn't say I took it out on them ever, but I know that my mind sometimes was still at the field, thinking about at bats, thinking about things like that. So, and I'll probably at times struggle with it as a coach too. Like there might be times where I'm at, struggling to get to a kid and understand, have the kid understand me and trying to teach a kid something or whatever it may be. So it'll always be something that I'll have to work on and be better at. But they're always first, and no matter what, whatever I do in my work profession, they're always going to come first. So as long as it never takes away from time with them too much, I'll continue to do this. And but I will say this year, coaching it has been a blessing because they've been with me the whole time. Other than right now, we sent Ava back down because she had preschool starting. So we wanted her to get in some classes, and I was finishing up here. So I'll be done here in a week and get to be home again.
That's awesome. And, Ashton from day one has always been your biggest supporter.
Yeah,
she's been with you along the way, so we have to mention her,
Yeah. No, she's been my rock, man. She's been the rock. She's like, I honestly couldn't play. I don't know how long I played in pro ball without her. Like, it all started with my parents giving me the opportunity and sacrifice. They pushed me a long way. And then if I didn't have her in pro ball, and, I don't know how long I stayed focused. And, there was a lot of times in St. Lucie where I was like, I don't know if this is for me. Like,
Yeah.
and she would always push me and be like, stop being soft, pretty much. No, but she said it in the right words, and she always knew what to say. So a lot of props for her to like continue staying with me through ups and downs, and supporting me the whole way, and then doing that. Now she's supporting me even more because she's having to watch kids at times when I'm at work, and so yeah, it's always helpful to have that strong support system.
Well, this has been great, man. I know it's been we've known each other over 9 years. I always appreciate your friendship. I appreciate the time that I got to see you playing. Come to see you. Actually, there was one time and I couldn't get to you. We had like 20 people with us, and we were in the City Field. It was a home game and stuff, and you were playing, and I thought you saw me, but you didn't. You just waved to the crowd. And
he saw you.
Right at you.
He saw you.
That's one thing I always wish I'd done better. Was like I didn't. Okay, so you talk about the kids in this, like going and playing in front of fans and stuff.
Yeah,
that stadium to me, I almost was oblivious to it. Like especially in a bigger crowd, I never looked in the stands. That was one thing I wish I could have done more and still had success on the field. Was like I thought I was always okay with the fans. Like I was always signing as much as I can, talking, but I would not, when the game started, my goal was like, if I looked in the stands, I felt like I wasn't concentrating. And I don't know how guys do it. Guys are so energetic and they'd be talking to fans and then play and go hit a home run. And I was like straight tunnel vision at times. And so at times I think it hurt me, but yeah, I'm sorry if I didn't pick you up in this.
Nah, it was all right. It was after the game anyway. But the good thing, you're in the middle infield position. If you're in right field, or left field, center field, which you did play the outfield a little bit, then you kind of hear more of what's going on because you're right there. But being in the middle infield, you're not hearing anything other than a lot of noise.
Nothing. Yeah. You honestly tried to not hear anything. I think at least I did. I'm sure other players do the same thing. You even if you you try to. I honestly try to just ignore anything I heard as a player, and that's probably hurt me at times. But yeah, that was my goal, was like play nine with as much intense focus as I can play with. And I'm like, now I look back and I'm like, it was a game, but to me it was it was my passion. So I
Yeah.
probably took it a little more serious than I needed to. Everybody's like,
Sure.
"Dude, you playing baseball?" I'm like, "No, it's not." But yeah.
Well, TJ, we really appreciate you sharing your professional baseball career experiences with us. It gives us a full range perspective on a playing career and the beginnings of a long and successful, we hope, for you, coaching career.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to keeping tabs on you and what you do and where you go, and we appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you guys. I'm glad we finally got to do this. As I said earlier, I know I've been a little bit hard to get in touch with. But
All
I
right,
appreciate
buddy.
you sticking with me, David, especially you, man. David's always reaching out, and I'm always so bad. And I can promise you, anybody who hears this that's a family or friend member of mine, I probably should be apologizing to them too, because I'm so bad at social media in general or my phone. So thanks for sticking with me and finally getting an opportunity to talk to you guys. I'm thankful for it and for all the support you guys have shown, man. That's been I've been appreciative of it. I couldn't ask for anything better from all the fans that I've had with the Mets. Everybody's really stuck with me, and even now I still hear from a lot of guys. So thank you guys. Thanks, David, for always reaching out, and Ashton having to answer sometimes because I don't. She acts as like my secretary or something sometimes because I'm not, and she'll get
You
mad at
guys
me
are a
too, man.
team.
She'll give it to me.
Yeah, you
Yes,
guys are
we're
a
a
team.
team.
So
Yeah, she helps
yeah.
me out a little bit with anything social media related.
She would always tell
That's
me
great.
he got it. I promise you, he got it. No, it's okay. I'll wait on him. It's all good.
Yeah. She always helps me out with that. So yeah, but yeah, thank you guys, man. I appreciate the opportunity to speak a little bit and tell my story, and I'll be on with you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Episode 17, Legends on Deck podcast. Brian Koss, David Conde, and TJ Rivera.